everybody. It's Abby. I hope everyone is enjoying their summer. It's uber hot where I am right now. I'm getting the time to spend with Amy Bovaird today, and I'm super excited about her story because you guys know I'm a traveler. I've been all over the place. It's so fun for me that I get to talk to her about travel in different aspects that we're going to cover. So Amy, thank you for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, I'm really happy to.
I want to talk about your travel experiences because they're so amazing. And I want everybody to know just a little bit about you and all the places you've been. Where all have you been when you're doing your international travels?
Well, gosh, it seems like I counted up one time. It was 33 different countries.
33?
But I've lived in 7. So, yeah, that's a little bit less. Yeah. But
Oh my gosh. I'm definitely classifying you as a mega world traveler. That is awesome. Amy, what I love about this whole story that you share with us is when you were traveling, can you kind of talk to us about the time that you started to realize that you were losing sight and your hearing?
Well, so when I first started realizing that something was going on with my sight was when I was in the jungles of Ecuador, like in the interior jungle, the Amazon. And I noticed that it was always dark and I was stumbling a lot and people just didn't get why I was doing that. And I didn't get it. And they didn't want to go with me when we were checking out the Cayman with the phosphorescent lights. And I was just like, why am I always tripping and falling? And I guess I need stronger glasses. So that was the first time I really noticed a marked change. And I guess probably because in the interior jungle it's so dark. So I came home and I told the doctor I need the stronger glasses because at that time I had a wonderful job opportunity in Indonesia. So I had a couple 2-3 weeks between that. So I thought, okay, I'll get these new glasses and I'll go. And it was a little bit more complicated than that. That's when they found out my condition, which is called retinitis pigmentosa. So anyway, in the end, I decided to continue with my teaching overseas, and I would just do it no matter what. I was going to pursue my goals. This was halfway across the world. I could learn another language or languages. So I just did it. I didn't know at that time if I was ever going to see my family's faces again because they didn't know at what rate this was going to happen to me. So I just took my chances and it really paid off. I had such amazing experiences. But in the beginning, I noticed I was a lot more frightened. I had this opportunity to go another island. We were exploring a cave. So it was super dark in the cave. And the one guy, there were maybe 6 or 7 of us, and he's like 28 years old, and he says, "Oh, you want to meet my grandma?" And at this time, I didn't really tell anyone about my sight loss, so it was just
yeah, no one wants to be told at 28 they're like a grandma. But so you found this out? Were you using like a cane at the time, or?
I wasn't at that time. I was just sort of feeling my way, and I don't think I needed a cane at that point, but it definitely was a decrease in my vision. So as I got on, as I continued to travel, my field narrowed more and more and more. So I had to, for example, I went to Scotland and I was climbing a mountain and I was afraid I was getting lost in the mountain. So I just the flashlight was the people ahead of me. They were wearing these bright lights, bright colored clothing. So I just fixed my eyes on them as it started to get dark so that I wouldn't, yeah.
There's so much here, Amy, that I know and I talked earlier about your love for teaching and your passion for it, coupled with your need for travel. Was it just when you came back and you were told that you had RP, which you weren't expecting, and then you because you're thinking you're just going to get your glasses and run to your opportunity. What was that passion that you felt that you were like, I'm going to continue with this no matter what? Because there's a lot of fear there, I'm sure. What propelled you?
Yeah. Well, it was actually a scripture in the Bible because there was Abraham, and he was the father of all the nations, and God told him to go to a place that he did not know, and he would show him. And so I felt, oh my gosh, he took care of Abram. At the time it was Abram, and then it turned into Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
I said, he can take care of me just as well. he's not going to let me get hit by a car or
Or get lost in the
go
woods
off
and
the
climb a
mountain
mountain
here.
and a cave, all the things we've talked about here already.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of instances, but I just wanted to do it so badly that I just said, it's okay. We're gonna adapt, and we're gonna do that. So I would take taxis so that I didn't have to drive, and it was, everything was doable.
Amy, I really want to hit the point though of, I mean, all I'm hearing faith like no other, and just the confidence that you exude and not letting yourself be held back. But it wasn't just that, you were extremely innovative. I mean, you were on your feet thinking about, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do to get it done.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And yeah. And I didn't tell people because I thought that if they knew, they would treat me differently. So I just kind of kept it to myself. And if they thought that I was like kind of an airhead, by maybe walking too closely to them or running into them or whatever, it was okay because I was living my life. So I just maximized what I could see. I used whatever I could and whatever transport I could, and I just continued. It was easier sometimes overseas because you could take trains and you could take ships, and there were lots of ways to accommodate without really saying I'm accommodating. Yeah, the hearing was a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
Yeah, well, so I'm a teacher and I'm teaching English as a second language. So you have to hear your students. And when they would read something out loud or they would give me an answer, I'd say, sorry, can you read that again? So I couldn't know why I wasn't hearing them, but I just thought, gosh, I'm going to have to stand closer to these people. And to my students, I'm going to have to pay more attention. Why am I not hearing them? And then in the back of my mind, I had this idea. I remember reading when I found out about my RP that there's another part of it that goes along with it, which is hearing loss. I have that. I must have that. And so I kind of kept that in the back of my mind, that's why it's harder to hear over the telephone or in context-reduced situations. Yeah.
So how did you adapt with that?
Well, I just started walking around the room and standing next to my students when I asked them questions. And sometimes I was adapting to two things. I remember being in Taiwan, and my teaching platform was like a theater. It looked kind of like a theater with 3 steps going down. And I walk a lot when I teach. So the steps were quite, like, they weren't steep, they were quite broad. And so I sometimes walk down a step without stumble down, trying to listen to my students, and I'm trying to catch, oops, missed that one. So I would just try to make jokes, So that's how I handled it. And I just kept asking them to repeat themselves and making jokes that I didn't hear them. They were pretty good about it.
That is great. When I'm listening to you talk about this, I myself, there are struggles that we all face. And I remember in a very similar story, I thought it's okay if people think that I was without someone and I didn't want to have my cane. And I didn't get to this level of acceptance. This is a different story for me, but I think it rings true with a lot of us in this situation that we think it's okay for someone to think we're a ditz, or in my case, maybe this person just thinks I'm drunk. And we'd rather them think that about us than accept thinking they're going to think less of us because we can't see.
Yeah, isn't that strange? When you think about it, I think it just has to come from within ourselves that we develop that confidence to share that information.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you come to the point of where it came from within?
I think it was that year. It was 2008 when I had my mobility training, and my trainer was completely blind, and he was saying hello to people, and I'm like, how can he see them? And he kept telling people, I'm helping Amy to see better so she could be more independent. And I'm like, why is he telling people? And I think because being so open about it, I started to become open about it. And when I did have a cruise after with my cane, and I traveled with people that were not accustomed to being around someone with a cane. And I remember reassuring them that it was okay. And I had, by that time, it was 2 years, it was 2010. So I had gotten used to people seeing me with the cane. So they were telling me, oh, that they're wondering about you with your cane. And I had completely forgotten it by that time, you know? So I had come so far in such a short time. It's like I just realized that it's okay to have that. And it was my job to make people feel comfortable about it, instead of, like everybody feeling uncomfortable. What do I say? What do I do? How do I
Yes.
show her? And I think that coming, that I was more approachable, it made everything so much easier for everyone.
Yes, and I bet your world opened up more.
Yes, it did. It absolutely did. And it made me very courageous to travel. I mean, I felt like I had the best of two worlds. I was able to have special accommodation. I was able to do it, to go. I remember there's a really interesting thing. My friend was in the water. She was really good at paddling this, I don't know what it was, paddling something, about kind of a boat. And they're all talking about how beautiful these fish were. It was in the Caribbean, and I couldn't see any of the fish. And when we went to get me on this canoe or whatever it was, I was like, they were like, be careful with her. I'm like, it's okay. And I started being afraid because they were afraid. But then when I was in the water and I couldn't see any fish, I was kind of putting my hands in the water. I thought, I am wet. I'm getting wet. I'm going back to my travels. And it was such a marvelous moment. It was like complete joy, because these people were enjoying themselves so much, and I was part of it. And I wasn't being held back. I was still living my life with my cane. So it was a kind of eye-opening moment. It was a moment where I realized that this was going to be my future. It wasn't going to impact it.
Amy, that is the most beautiful story. I am speechless, which is, it's hard for me to be. And I love that you shared that with us, and especially with me. The power that just comes from that. It's, there's too many times that we in our lives hold our own, and you realize at the end of the day, it's holding yourself back when you don't accept the things that are challenges, and being able, but knowing that when you do, and the minute the light hit in your heart, that you can be what you want to be, and you continued your travel. What are you doing now? Because you're doing a lot. I mean, you've written books. What do you do now? I feel like advocacy is totally in your heart. And can you talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now?
Well, mostly I'm writing, and I'm kind of advocating for sight loss, but I've got some plans in my mind about where I want to travel overseas. I want to take my brother and show him some of these places. One of the places I want to go is Mexico, and just to really let my brother have that opportunity, my older brother have that opportunity to see what he hasn't been able to see. So together we will help each other. So that's one of my goals, and just a kind of a closer one. And instead of being, like in Africa or something, but I just wanted to start small and just help my brother to see what is I'm so passionate about.
Oh, that is beautiful. Because we all need to be sharing like what it is that we're passionate about. I mean, that is so critical, don't you think? Because it inspires other people to do it.
Yes, I think
no
so.
matter our circumstances.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can you tell us a little bit about the books that you've written? Maybe one piece of, or what really means to you, what it means to you to share, to write.
Okay. So really, the book that emerged first was the story of my white cane, because that is what gave me the freedom. And so it was that idea of what I remember. There was a moment where I was dropped off in the middle of nowhere, and I had to find my way to the Bureau of Blindness and Visual Services. You can only ask 3 questions. And I would pass go and collect $200 or whatever. And I asked, is there a person? Can I ask them?
Yes.
And and I'm like, And my trainer said, because I was really abrupt, I say, okay, what street are we on? When I got to the Bureau of Blindness, I made my way there, a little bit late, but I made my way there. I was so excited. I asked for my caseworker, and I told her, I made it, I found it. And then turned around and I walked into the wall. Well, that was really humbling. We are always small, not too big for our britches. I think when we realize that we were able to laugh at ourselves and to see that we are all so imperfect in all of our strivings, then we're going to enjoy our life.
I agree wholeheartedly. If anybody wants to read your books, Amy, where could they find them?
I'm Amazon.com. I'm on, I have my audiobooks on Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. My website is Bovaird.com. They're there. All of my books are in large print and Kindle ebook, and they are regular print. I have a couple recent ebooks that just went out about my diagnosis, and I had some other issues, and so the other ones are about overcoming and finding joy in little things, family, and how God kind of gives us surprises. So like that. I'm working on a book right now called Second Sight, which goes through some of my early travel, and it goes through now what I'm coping with, like going to the wrong seat of the car, the back seat, thinking I'm in the kinds of things, and looking at it from a perspective acceptance. So it's called Second Sight because it's like looking in the mirror instead of looking like a situation of continually. The adapt is more inside us instead of before it was mostly outside, like the physical. We tried using a cane, and now it's more working on my perspective and how to change a negative into a positive, and looking for the blessings and things, looking for the good things that arise out of my situation. You know, there's always something to be thankful for.
Yes, there is. And Amy, I could just sit here and talk with you for hours and hours. I just want to thank you so much for your time with us today and sharing just these pieces of priceless ways that we can live our lives, and realizing vulnerability and realizing that we are human and accepting every bit of who we are, and looking for those moments of joy. And I gosh, wow, I'm super excited to be here with you today. And thank you so incredibly much. You guys, I just want to hug you. I can't wait until we can do that. So I just thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing your story. We're going to definitely look you up, and I'm going to get to reading your books like stat. So I can't wait.
Oh, thank you. That's great.
Yes, we are going to go grab some lunch or something soon. It's going to be awesome. So you guys, this is Abby. Thank you for joining Amy and I today. And remember, just stay strong, stay natural, stay lovely, stay beautiful, one cane tap at a time. And we can do this together. Guys, take care and have a great one.